Sehr verehrte Damen und Herren, ich begrüße Sie aus Bukarest, Rumänien. Wir sind hier im Studio von Realitatea TV und ich bin zusammen hier mit der Anchorwoman, mit der Anchorfrau Anna Maria. Sie hat Calin Georgescu mehrere Male interviewt. Es ist der Mann, der jetzt nicht mehr Kandidat ist, denn die Präsidentschaftswahlen wurden über Wochenende abgesagt. Die Justiz hat offenbar, so sagt sie, Indizien gefunden, dass Russland die Finger im Spiel hat. Es wurden unterdessen einige Belege publiziert und wir möchten jetzt von Anna Maria wissen, was genau da drin steht. Anna Maria, it's a great pleasure to sit in your studio here in Bucharest.
Thank you for being here.
And please, can you briefly introduce yourself and your TV channel so the Swiss viewers and the viewers in Germany that we have know who you are and who you work for?
Sure. My name is Maria Păcuraru. I host a show every Monday to Friday from 1 to 3 here at Realitatea PLUS. We are an independent news channel, so we are privately owned. We are not part of the national news channel in Romania. Based on these elections, what makes us different is that besides that we are the most watched news channel in Romania, not only news-wise, but across different genres of TV. We're talking even about, I don't know, music channels, movie channels, kids channels, and so on and so forth, generalist channels. We have gained a lot of trust in the eyes of viewers since these elections because we were the only news channel that we say we portrayed the truth. In this sense, Mr. Calin Georgescu was here on our show. He wasn't invited in other shows or other channels. And we were able to show this side of Calin Georgescu that not many people were able to latch upon.
Now, before we talk about the candidate, the former candidate, we have to say, Calin Georgescu, what happened last Friday? Because I'm asking you because behind the events in Syria, where the Assad regime fell, the big visit of Donald Trump in Paris and his meeting with Zelensky there, people didn't really pay attention, I guess, too much about what happened in Romania. Something I've never heard of, that presidential elections were cancelled.
In a democratic state, right?
In a democratic state, as they were already happening because the diaspora was voting. Please, can you tell me what happened?
I think disgust happened, and that's a feeling that many people have. Well, we were in the process of voting for our president, not us in Romania, but the diaspora, as you mentioned, because they can vote 3 days prior to the moment when we can vote here in Romania. We had a presidential race, which was fair and square, as far as we knew. In the presidential race, we saw many allegations with no proof. We had one candidate. We had 14 candidates in total. One candidate was excluded during this presidential race because she had supposedly discourse that wasn't on the likings of the Constitutional Court, on the likings of Romanian leading parties, even on my likings. She had a quite severe discourse, but my opinion is that she shouldn't have been taken away from this possibility of running continuously in this course. After she was eliminated, we had 13 candidates left. We all made our calculations, who would be first, who would be second. We never took into account Calin Georgescu. No one did. We see Calin Georgescu ends up in the second round with Elena Lasconi, someone who, again, we didn't really consider would be able to go into the second round. Now, what do we have? We have Calin Georgescu, we have Elena Lasconi. We have a Eurosceptic nationalist group versus a progressist, maybe Sorosist group of people, globalist group of people who would vote for Elena Lasconi. So we have this battle. Calin Georgescu based his discourse a lot on national identity, on nationalism, on patriotism. Elena Lasconi would base her discourse mostly on European Union, on those kind of values, and so on and so forth. We saw that Calin Georgescu was eliminated in the second round, one day before, actually 2 days, it was Friday, 2 days before having had the possibility to vote.
Now this is an event that I've never heard of, so briefly before the elections. Now, there must be extremely important reasons why, in a democracy, this is done. What is the evidence that was presented to the Romanian people that caused the judiciary to stop?
Absolutely nothing.
But you have some proof, some evidence.
We have nothing.
But they published some documents.
Yeah, but those documents don't have the actual proof that we know from where in Russia this money came from. I mean, they're just basically some allegations that, yeah, look what happened. We have Russian infiltrations. Yeah, but show us concrete from where. Then from those documents, we had this informal meeting of the Constitutional Court. Again, informal meeting. I was on air and I was asking my guests who were lawyers, I was telling them, okay, but even the former Minister of Justice in Romania was on my show that day, 2 hours before this decision happened. And then I asked him, okay, but from an informal meeting, how can we go into a formal meeting? And he said, oh, it's impossible. It's very hard. I mean, it's an informal meeting. What can happen? Well, look what happened. From an informal meeting, they got those documents, which we presented, like we had access to them, based on different solicitudes from different parties or different people. We had a dean from a university who solicited the revision process of Mr. Calin Georgescu's candidacy, which is mind-boggling. A dean of a university, a privately owned university, to do this solicitation in terms of politics and to be taken into account during the electoral process, it's mind-boggling. So then we have this informal meeting, we have the final decision, a decision which isn't even signed when we got it. It wasn't signed. Many were skeptic about the importance of this document. But now what we are asking is show us the proof, and moreover, let us know what you spoke in that meeting. Let me have a recording, an audio recording. Let me have a written transcript of what was spoken. Let me have a video of what happened in that meeting with those judges.
Now, before we go into the reaction of the people, which I find quite remarkable so far, let's talk about Georgescu, because you are one of the very few who actually talked to him, interviewed him. As you mentioned before, you're the only channel who he came on and had interviews with. There's the allegation, for example, he's pro-Putin or a Putin friend. There's this, then some call him fascist. I'm quoting media in the West. This is what I read in our media in Switzerland, in Germany, in France. And then it is said that he's also an ultra-nationalist. Now, let's talk about these labels, because we know these days labels are easily stuck on. Putin friend. We're not talking now about these allegations right now, but before, in the campaign, is there any evidence that he's a Putin friend or a stooge of Putin?
Well, look, first of all, let's remember the allegations that Donald Trump had. All of the allegations didn't back him off from anything, and he became once again re-elected as being the president of the United States. These allegations in Romania with Calin Georgescu that he's a Putinist, that he believes in the legionary movement in Romania, I mean, I find them just smoke without any thunder, without any lightning. There's no solid proof, again, of anything. There's a discourse that is, again, maybe ultra-nationalist, but it's not necessarily fake nationalist, which we know that is toxic. It's this discourse that many people went towards because they were so sick of the main powers that were controlling or that were in the country dominating the political scene for the past 35 years in our country. So pro-Putin, I mean, he never said that he will go and have a beer with Putin.
He said he's a charismatic leader, but I'm not a fan or something of that sort.
He's a charismatic leader, of course, yeah. Maybe people might consider that, I don't know, someone else might be a charismatic leader. But he never said that he wants to take Romania out of NATO. He never said that he wants to take Romania out of the European Union. He never said that he will go to Putin to negotiate anything. He said that our support will be with the Ukrainians, but at several costs. So, I mean, I think in his discourse, if he wanted to be understood correctly, because many informations are taken out of context. And we demonstrated this a few days before the second round, before we got the final decision of the Supreme Court in Romania. Well, we had some people here in IT who were able to hack a database from the opposing party, where we saw that they actually used information and messages from other leaders, from other parties or whatever, to manipulate the message to make Calin Georgescu seem that way. Because he was a person who is anti-system, he is a person, an independent, again, he never had a party, just so he can be viewed as something bad and no one should go to him. Well, this added to the increase of interest of him, and that's why so many people voted for him.
Now let's turn the camera and then ask, who has an interest to stop him? Why is he so wildly disturbing for some people in the elite?
The services in Romania. And that's what many people think. Of course, we don't have any palpable truth or proof here at the moment. But what is oftenly discussed is that the services, because if the services don't want someone to be in the
What do you mean by services?
We're talking even about deep state.
Services like certain, government structures? Or?
A parallel government structure. A deep state that is actually still in function, a deep state that is actually deciding what the politics of our country should look like, a deep state that decides what everyone must do, when it must do the specific thing, and in which way it must do the specific thing.
What could that be? Sorry to ask again, but more specifically, what entities are you talking about?
Well, we're talking about ex-generals. Our news station, again, was the only news channel that went into this war against this deep state system. I'm not talking about the big political parties. We're not talking about that system, because, again, I'm making a difference between the word system. We're talking about the deep state system that is Florian Coida, that is Dumitru Dumbrava, generals who had increased power. Laura Codruța Kövesi, the procurator of the European Parliament, she had authority to take people, business people, media moguls, different entities, to manipulate them, to blackmail them, to throw them in jail, and then take over their business. And we have solid proof on this, but we have solid proof on this because of Realitatea, what we have done for the past year of showing who those people are and what they did. And we weren't afraid to do that compared to other news channels. So this system is the system that Calin Georgescu would fight against. Not necessarily the deep state, but mostly would fight against the political infiltration system that everyone had a disgust upon.
And that resonated with a lot of people, I guess. When you see a candidate that he is fighting the system...
He's like a hero.
For a lot of Romanians.
Of course.
And we also have to mention he's not a member of a party. He's a so-called independent.
Independent.
Yeah.
But he was like a hero, because that's what I'm saying. Even now with the elimination of Calin Georgescu, maybe, and I think he won't be able to put his candidature again for another round of elections, presidential elections. Some people say that he might be arrested. I view him as a Mandela, as I said before, because he will be a martyr. He will be a hero for what, of course, he didn't fight for the same reasons as Mandela. Let's get that clear. I mean, it's completely different. We're not talking about race.
A kind of a freedom fighter.
But it's a freedom fight against censorship. It's a freedom fight against this taken away liberty of voting who you want to vote.
Now, if you have a hero, as you say, for a lot of people, and now suddenly this hero is taken out of the race, the reaction, what I've witnessed so far in the country here, is very calm. I mean, people might be angry, but they have reacted in a very composed way. I haven't seen violence, I haven't seen many rallies. What is your take on that reaction? And
I think it's an excellent reaction, and we're promoting this reaction. We shouldn't be violent. It's not a revolution with blood, with tears. It's a revolution of dignity. It's a revolution of peace, and it's a revolution of calm. So I said, even here, we have a campaign with white caps, with calm. It's something important. It's a message that everyone should know. We shouldn't have revolts. Here at our news channel, we had protesters come here when Mr. Georgescu was invited, and they would threaten us, life threats. They would come and throw rocks in our windows. They wanted to break our studio. We had police come to protect us. I mean, we always stood away from this. We always told them, please, take care of yourself, take care of your family, don't come. And they were instigated by people, by opponents. They weren't by themselves. They didn't do this decision. They didn't take this decision of coming here and being violent. They were instigated, maybe even paid by the other group to do such thing, to show revolt. But we told them, please, think with your own mind, be calm, because things will be resolved this way. We cannot throw rocks at each other. We're still here. Today, these politicians are here. Tomorrow, they leave. We're still here united. And let's not dismantle ourselves. Let's not fight with family because of this. Let's not fight with friends because of this. Because that's what they would want.
A last question, looking ahead. You mentioned the white caps with the label peace on it. People are calm at the moment. If we look ahead, and Mr. Georgescu will not be allowed to be a candidate again in the elections that are up to, I guess, in the next 90 days, they have to take place. They start from scratch. If he's not a candidate, will people remain calm? Will they just...
Well, first of all, the new elections will take place when the new government will form, because let's not forget we had the parliamentary elections between the presidential elections, the first round and the second round. So now we still don't have a majority formed in parliament. They will be the ones who will decide when the next date will be. We don't know when it would be. That's why some people say it would be in March. Some people say it's in June or July. So it's chaos at the moment, even though we don't understand why they cannot take a decision now with the current government, because there's no law written that you have to have the new government step in and then choose. I mean, now until the 21st of December, we still have the old government. So, I mean, they can take this decision. But anyway, that's a different story. I think there will be a new Calin Georgescu to come. I don't know what will happen to Calin Georgescu. I think he will be portrayed as this hero. I think he will be portrayed as a hero for not necessarily for the thoughts he believed in, because I met him. Honestly, I laughed the first time when I met him. He had this very pro-nationalist talk, but it was full of metaphors, full of complicated wording that basically I thought that didn't mean anything, and many consider it the same. But the cause he fought for is something admirable. It's something against, again, the system, against the big parties, against people who decide and dictate, and basically by the end of the day, you still get what they want. So this whole thing, I think, will continue. I think the next president will be, at least I hope, we get the chance to choose, and no one else will choose for us, someone who will represent their own interests, and someone who will, the interests of the country, and not who will represent their own interest in a political party. And they will, again, have a fight like Calin Georgescu against the systems. And I think it will be an independent. I don't think it will be from a political party, because it's clear people want an independent. They don't want any linkage to a political party in the past.
Anna Maria, thank you very much. I think it is very interesting what's happening. It has not gotten enough attention. And I see similarities to developments in other countries where also candidates are fighting against the system, the establishment, and for freedom of speech, basically. So in that sense, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure too. Thank you.